Hello, my name is Miss Amanda, and this video is a brief overview of my role as a preschool teacher for your student this year and what I actually focus on as the goals for learning and kindergarten readiness. So just to begin, I'm going to try to keep these videos as short as possible. I'm working from home. I have children background noise, so please excuse that. As a preschool teacher, one of the things that we know is that children play to learn. So sometimes parents ask me, what are they learning? All you do is play. So that is absolutely what we try to do the most of. I do want to let you know that we're in a COVID season right now, so things will feel and look different through virtual learning. However, I do want to talk about what it would be like in the classroom and what it will be like when we return. So play to learn, but as we play, I am looking for and focusing on 3 things for your children to be ready for kindergarten: communication, cooperation, and compliance. I teach children to communicate by assessing where they're at and then giving them prompts as to what to do and how to communicate. So it may sound or look like me explaining everything that I'm doing. I'm going over here to the blocks now. I am touching the purple block. I am putting it over here. That is called narration, and that's one of the ways that children learn communication. Another is I prompt them on what to say when I recognize what they're trying to communicate. A child may hold something up to me and say, and I will say, oh, you want help with opening this. And then I will say, open this, please. And that's prompting. I will also try to do more videos along the line with more detail of each of these. Next is cooperation. So cooperation in a group setting is very important. The way that I teach that is, one of the ones they always want kids to do is to share. So we often hear a caregiver or a provider say, share. And to a child, they might not know exactly what sharing is or how to accomplish it. So in the classroom, we have a lot of really interesting items, things that the students are really wanting to touch and play with. If one student comes up and wants to play with a toy that another has, and usually the primary level that a student will have will be to take it, and that can cause a lot of big emotions. We wouldn't like that. That's not fair. So what I would say to the student is, oh, you want that. Ask your friend if you can play together. That's the first one I always try to prompt with. And often a student will be fully engaged and not be able to share or to play together at that time. So if a toy or an item or an area is able to be played with together, that's my top goal. Oh, let's play with it together. If not, I will say, hey, why don't you go and try to find something to trade? And if that's not possible, then I would say, tell your friend, please let me know when you're finished. And the person with the toy will say, I'll tell you when I'm finished. And if they're unable to, I will look at the student for them and say, he will let you know when it's done, or I will let you know when he's done with it. And by getting that reassurance that they are next, a student will be very happy to occupy themselves in the meantime. Also, for the student who's having that item, I never require them to give it up right away on request because that would feel unfair to them as well. I may say something like, can your friend play with you? Or is there something you'd like them to trade you with? Or please let them know that you will give that to them as soon as they're done. And if it's a very, very interesting toy, I may say something like, you may have 5 more minutes with it, and then I will let this friend have a turn. And then you can have a turn next. The next is compliance. And compliance is following instructions. Now, there are levels of compliance. So the way that I start is I will ask, will you please clean up your mess? And of course, this is kind of, in the beginning, I will see if they can comply like that. However, if I want to be clear, then I won't make it a request. I will say, clean up those toys now. And if they're unable to do it at that time, my method of teaching compliance is very simple. I will first give the directive, clean up the toys now, in the authoritative voice. If I am ignored or told no, or said okay later or when I'm done, I will say, it's time to clean up. You may clean up yourself, or would you like me to help you? And if they ask for my help, I will absolutely help. And the way that I help is giving, if they ask me, help me please, I will give directions verbally. Put that block away first. Next, put those ones away. And if that is unable to be accomplished, then the ultimate kind of last resort way that I teach is hand over hand. And it's a positive hand over hand. Hand over hand is where I place my hand on top of theirs and guide them physically. Now, always know that if a child physically resists me, I will never continue that. I will allow them to resist, and then I will wait and later make it something that they want, contingent on what I wanted. So if a child physically resists, I'll say okay and kind of walk away, and later they may ask me for something and I will say yes as soon as what I asked them before was accomplished. However, if the hand over hand is cooperated with, I will say, look, you're doing it. This is how we pick it up. So my hand would be on top of theirs. We would go together and I'd say, yeah, you're doing it. Now a student who is bummed about it but not physically resisting me would be like, but you're doing it. And I will say, no, I am helping you, but you are doing it. You don't want to, but you are. Nice job. A lot of encouragement. So some students absolutely will not tolerate physical touch. I always take that into consideration as well. So sometimes I'm like, don't touch that student. They can't handle it emotionally. And that's always taken into account too. So for me, kindergarten readiness is those three things. Being able to comply to an adult's instruction is very important. Otherwise, if they go to kindergarten and are saying no or ignoring a lot, it may be seen as a behavioral issue. I don't want any students to be in trouble going into kindergarten due to a lack of learning. The next is communication. Again, it's so important that a student can say what they need. Sometimes communication is delayed based on being bilingual or simply not having enough exposure. Okay, and then the next is cooperation, and again, that's really important in a large group setting. So those are my three primaries. After that, of course, there are other orders of learning. We're at 7 minutes, so I'm going to keep you at 2.5 or more minutes. So after those things, or if sometimes a student will enter my class already being able to do all three of those things, the next order of learning that I focus on is leadership skills. Because if a student is able to do that, I will prompt them or give them lots of opportunities to be a leader, such as, will you help your friend by showing them, come on, let's go clean up now, or come on, it's time to wash our hand, friend, and really show them how to be a positive peer support. So leadership. Also, higher order communication, such as prompting them with their own minds to consider things like, why do you think that works? What would you do if you could do anything you want? Just the higher order type of communication and thinking. Sustained attention. So I recognize that students have small attention spans as their mind works, and it should. So with a higher order student, I may prompt them to do projects that require more attention. I have a 2-year-old here. She wants to say hi. And then ultimately after that, of course, we always work on ABCs 1, 2, 3s. This is how I'm going to end this video. Head Start has 2 primary mottos that we want you to know that we know, and then we want to instill in you if you don't. 1, you are your child's first and most important teacher. Anything that I try to teach them will be learned much faster and more effectively from home first. Also, you are the expert of your child, not me. I may give my input and advice if you ask for it, but I know that you know your child best, and you, more than anyone else, can say and advocate for their needs. So we're at 9 minutes. I hope that I answered your question, if you had one, on what my role is as your child's preschool teacher. Thank you, and have a great day.